welcome to episode 91 of Respawn Aim Fire, the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast, brought to you by... Chad, what is it brought to us by this time?
Wait, are we sponsored?
We're sponsored now. Yeah, I decided we're sponsored.
By Bounce Dryer Sheets.
Exactly. Yeah, Bounce Dryer Sheets. Thank you for spawning us, Bounce Dryer Sheets. I'm Holden the Pardo.
I'm Chad Michael Innes.
And we have a lot to talk about this week. We're going to be talking about the new Vive headset. We're going to be talking about... Why are you laughing, Chad?
I'm waiting for you to acknowledge the fact that I'm having my eyes closed.
Your eyes are closed. I was confused, but...
You can't tell right now because it's an audio-only podcast, but I am birdboxing this episode.
He's going to birdbox challenge, whole episode. I'll vouch. I'll tell you guys.
Oh, JK, I just opened my eyes.
Damn it, Chad.
Well,
it's
like,
okay.
Have you ever been like hiding in someone's closet waiting to scare them, but then you just can't stop laughing and they find you?
No.
You don't hide in people's closets?
I mean, I do that, but I don't laugh. I keep my cool. I have composure.
No, any single time, first of all, that's a competency you need to work on. Second of all, anytime I'm in a closet, metaphorically or figuratively, I'm always, first of all, planning to scare somebody, and then I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah, this is such a good plan. They're going to be so scared, and then I imagine myself scaring them, and then I'm like, that's going to be hilarious.
But you want to know what, though?
Freaking wait, and then I start laughing.
But when you walk into your house, and you just hear an ominous giggle coming from somewhere in the house, it's pretty terrifying. So
you're right.
So you success. You did it.
Thank you.
Do you know who else did it this week?
What else did it this week?
Bungie left Activision and is on their own.
Woo!
We're talking about that this week as well.
Thank God for the freshness of Bounce Dryer Sheets.
Division 2 is leaving Steam. Just everything's leaving everywhere, and we're talking about that all this week. But
dude,
we're going to start with...
We're divorcing our partnership with Bounce. Fuck you, Bounce. Your dryer sheets suck.
They were listening to this episode, and they're like, maybe we will sponsor them. And then they said that, and like, well, fuck you guys. We're not doing that. But, speaking of fuck you guys, let's talk about the Carlton floss dances that are in Fortnite.
First of all, they're not the Carlton floss dances.
Carlton and floss dances.
There you go.
Did I say Carlton floss dances? I meant to say
maybe
Carlton and
you lingered
floss
on the end. It sounded like you lingered on Carlton, but maybe you just had a slight hiccup between Carlton and floss dances.
It's possible. Also, reading off my notes here, my notes do just say Carlton/floss dances. So I could have just skipped it because I was reading over it that way.
I've got a crusty dragon in my nose. That's what the British people call boogers.
Anyway, so we're starting off with Microsoft because Microsoft decided to remove those dance moves that are kind of controversial in Fortnite right now.
Yeah.
From her, I almost called it Horizon Zero Dawn. From Forza Horizon 4.
Same thing,
and
right?
They didn't. Yeah, same exact game. Yeah, they didn't mention any reason as to why they removed it. They just said, and I quote, "Forza Horizon 4 features a large portfolio of content and is continually being updated," which just means we're not saying anything.
Yep.
Which I don't blame them, because it's basically them saying, hey, we don't know if this is going to be a shit show legally speaking or not, so let's just avoid it.
Yep.
So I think it's smart of them. Yeah.
One, obviously, they're just saying, oh, we're going to tiptoe away from this and pretend we never had him in there, avoid this lawsuit. Yeah. Second thing, again, what do you do in Forza Horizon 4? Where do you have emotes where you're doing a floss dance? You're a car.
So, I mean, it's just like the Lightning McQueen comes in, and he does a dance move as Lightning McQueen, and that's how it happens. No, the drivers.
From
apparently,
everything I've seen, there are no drivers. You just skid and drift all over the woods.
Apparently there are very small opportunities for you to see the drivers, and you can decide what they're doing. One of them is doing, well, not anymore, is doing the Carlton and or floss dances.
Oh my god.
Emphasis on and or for Chad's benefit, because he gets very mad about these things.
Oh, yeah.
But that's really it in Microsoft's news. Not too much.
Microsoft is holding out for E3 and a hero till the end tonight.
Yep.
Footloose.
But there is an interesting development with Ready at Dawn. This is going to Sony side now. Ready at Dawn, they most recently made Order 1886? Yeah, 1886. And apparently they're working on a new game for a console, a AAA game for a console. It doesn't say in the job listing a next-gen console, but there's a job listing they're talking about a new console game they're working on. So there's that to look forward to. I'm actually excited because going back and looking, the only poorly reviewed game they have is The Order. That is it. Everything else is actually really, really well reviewed, including all the VR games.
God of War.
They did God of War, Daxter. They did a bunch of VR games in the past 2 years.
Oh, they're Echo Arena guys.
Yep, Echo Arena, Lone Echo, and Echo Combat, and then Lone Echo 2 is coming out at some point as well. So they're doing really good with VR. They also have 2 studios, so I'm assuming one is a VR studio and one is a AAA console studio, probably.
Yeah.
So cool stuff there. Probably PS5 game at this point.
Oh, fuck yeah. A
so
new
that's cool.
third-person AAA action console title based on a brand new original IP. What do you think it could be? Just kidding. It's impossible to guess because it's a new original IP.
Is it Star Wars, maybe?
Is it Star Wars? Is that a new original IP?
It is, yeah. I just checked. It is. It is.
You just jacked?
Maybe it's Death Stranding. That's a new IP.
Maybe it's Death rebranding.
Ooh.
As a Ready at Dawn game.
That'd be hysterical if Sony also released a first-party knockoff of Death Stranding.
Whoever the CEO of Ready at Dawn, they come out and they just pull a mask off their face, and it was Kojima the whole time. And then Kojima pulls a mask off of his face, and it was actually a goblin the whole time. And the goblin pulls a mask off its face, and it turns out he was an RC car.
Whoa.
The whole time.
That was
Inception.
in Forza Horizon 4 doing the Carlton Floss dances.
Doing the Carlton and Floss dances.
Yes.
That's dope. Speaking of Hideo Kojima. Oh, this is the transition you were trying to make.
This is the transition I was trying to make, yeah.
Okay.
No, you can go for it. You already did it at this point. You can go for it.
No, I actually am reading this for the first time right now live.
Oh, okay.
Hideo Kojima just showed up Death Stranding to developers at Guerrilla Games and left them impressed. Ooh, Guerrilla Games, where they got their engine from.
Exactly. So I thought this was notable that this is apparently the first time that Guerrilla Games has seen this game. Which I find strange considering they gave them the engine.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first people I would have shown it to. Like, hey, look what I did with your tools. Isn't this great?
Okay, first of all, the first person you showed to is Guillermo del Toro.
That's fair. And then Mom.
And then Sean Layden, maybe. And then
Sean Layden, maybe. Sean Layden, I forgot to show it to you. Fuck, my bad.
And then Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer. Gonna see if he can get an Xbox too. And then Phil Schiller, absolutely.
Yes.
To get in the Apple box.
And then you just want to round out your Phils with Phil Dunphy from Modern Family, the actor.
All of this, though, going back to Guerrilla Game stuff, all this makes me wonder how far along the game really is, though. Because there's a thing a little over a year ago when Mark Cerny, during PlayStation Experience, said he's played 4 to 5 hours of it.
Right.
And now Guerrilla Games is getting like a peek at it. There's clearly a lot that he can show off in the game. But like, how far along is it really? I don't know. This makes me actually think it's farther off than we think it is.
I do know how far along it is.
Because you think it's coming out this year.
There's going to be a PS5 reveal event in the next 3 or 4 months. It's going to be announced that Death Stranding is coming at the end of the year alongside PS5, and it's going to be a cross-gen game. Listen to our 2019 predictions episode.
Insane.
Insane, maybe.
You're insane.
Brilliant, yes. Can I do a weird thing with my pinky toes and cross them over the rest? Yeah, I can do that. Regardless, it's coming.
Not this year, though. I just vehemently disagree with you on this.
Yeah?
I really do. I just think
Spell vehemently as fast as you can.
Shut the fuck up. It is just no way.
Vehemently.
Very good.
Thank you.
There's just no way it's happening this year. There's just no way. I just don't buy it for a second.
Well, when it happens, you're replaced.
I think you're insane. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. But
you want to bet? You want to put? You want to bet?
Sure, I will bet. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. What do we want to bet?
I don't know. I'm really bad at
December 31st, 2019. If Death Stranding is not out, I owe you something. If
I thought you were talking about next gen. I'm willing to bet on next gen. I'm not willing to bet on Death Stranding because it's really mysterious. I have no idea.
Well then no. Fuck that bet. Not interested.
I thought you were confident in that bet then. I thought you were confident
that prediction's
in your
going to happen, but I don't want you to look like that much of a loser. If it's just over a game release date, we get it. But if it's over an entire generation of hardware, that's big.
All right, fine then.
Holden, I just want to say thank you for getting through what might be half of our content as far as news goes. No, maybe a third. Not even that.
Not even close.
You talking about all of it and me just literally bullshitting, not knowing what the fuck is coming out of my mouth the whole time. Thank you for barreling on through.
Okay, I just want to say. Oh wait, 1 second. We got to go back here for a second. Okay. Dane, as you're texting me, I'm actually recording the podcast right now.
Dane Deasy's balls,
and he says that his friend Kay put in 240 hours into Zelda in about a month since getting her Switch in late November. So I don't feel as bad anymore for putting 320 hours in since the game came out in March 2017. So
legit, when Holden told me that he put 320 hours into The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild,
did you text
about
Dane?
10 minutes ago? No, I screamed. I said, "Oh my God, Holden, what?"
Actually, this is really
insane.
It is crazy how he's commenting on things we're talking about in the podcast. As he's making me feel bad for it right now.
Are you texting him a transcript of whatever we're saying?
I am, yes.
Dane Deasy, your balls. Hey, why don't we just group FaceTime him in?
Do you want to?
No, get out of here. That's way too much pressure, and we didn't tell him ahead of time.
That's true, yeah. Hey, Dane, come in here. None of these news stories.
I've invited him on the podcast before, and he's been like, I don't know if I could talk about games. I like playing them, but I don't know. So I don't.
Well, he's always
welcome to
put
him on the spot.
We like Dane. We do like Dane.
He won our participation trophy.
I'll respond back to you, Dane, after we record, because I want to focus on the recording.
Interact with us on Twitter. Recommend us to a friend, or review us on podcast services. By the way, if you are one of the people that reviewed us on podcast services, I saw that we have a few new ones out there. Cool. Make sure you're listening to this or screenshot it and let us know who you are, because sometimes your iTunes name differs from your Twitter, and we want to make sure we get, if you win, that to the right person. Holla!
That's super cool.
Holden, Michael Jefferson Toronto DePardo.
That is my name. How did you know?
4 of those are your name. Can you?
I do have 4 names in my. I have 4 names actually.
I know.
Yeah, that is true.
All 4 are Michael.
Yep. It's
Michael.
Michael.
That's 5. You said 5 Michaels, you idiot. What the fuck did you play this week, Holden? Welcome to Playtime.
Apparently games don't help me count or work with numbers or...
Michael.
Yeah, or do anything well this episode. So I played Into the Past.
What a bullshit episode this is so far. I'm so sorry.
Played Link to the Past this week, because of course I did, because it's our BARF this month.
Hey, why did you play that? Oh, great.
See,
BARF.
I already was doing that.
What does BARF stand for anyone who's new to the podcast?
Backlog accomplishments with Respawn and friends.
That includes you, little baby birds out there.
That's right, little baby birds on the Twitters. I also played New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
I'm very glad you included the entire title in there.
I did have to. Otherwise, if I said Super Mario Bros. U, it'd be very confusing. You wouldn't have any idea what I'm talking about.
Right, and if you said New Deluxe, I'd be like, what the hell?
Exactly. And this game is a new Super Mario Bros. Game in every way. It's the same levels, basically, in the same order of the worlds. You get mushroom power-ups, and you can jump on Gooba's heads. Honestly, I was kind of laughing at... The opening area is not Mushroom Kingdom. It's Acorn Plains. And it's a green area with Goombas and shells and stuff, just like every other Mushroom Kingdom opening area ever. Except this one has some squirrels and acorns in it. Otherwise, it's just Mushroom Kingdom.
So my impression that I'm getting from you right now is that you are just flabbergasted at the innovation with New Super Mario Bros.
Oh, yeah, because when you get to the second area and you realize, whoa, this is a desert? I've never seen a desert as the second level in a Mario game before. And then I couldn't remember. I was like, do they do water levels or ice levels after desert? I couldn't remember, but they did me a favor. I didn't have to remember because they split the path. Revolutionary. And then you can decide, do you want to do the snow one first or the water one first?
Whoa. Talk about innovation.
Innovation.
Exceeds expectations.
It's just so unbelievably familiar. It's crazy. I honestly thought to myself, oh, I'm just playing a remake of the DS one. It just felt like an up-res, high-res version of it.
Which DS one? The coin collecting one? Or
That's the 3DS one. I'm talking about the DS, just New Super Mario Bros. That said, though, it's a good game. It's got great level design. It's fun to play. It's actually kind of hard to find all the star coins in some places. I've gotten the vast majority of them in the levels I've played, but it can get kind of hard. I also just played the hardest Ghost Mansion I've ever played in my whole life. Holy shit. Just because of one game mechanic that I actually don't think is that great. It's way too mysterious.
Does it turn your back to the boo?
No, that's fine. That's still in there. It's you know how sometimes they have walls that you can just walk through, but it looks like a wall? Yeah, they have that, except you can only walk through it at certain points. So I tried walking through the wall, and I'm like, oh, I guess I can't go through that wall. It looked like I could because there was an arrow sign pointing to it, but I guess not. So I just kept dying to retry earlier parts of the level until I realized, oh, I had to wait for the map to pan over, and then as it's panning, then I can walk through that wall.
Oh.
And I'm like, that is really obnoxious. And I played that level
user error, bro.
No, it was not explained well at all. It was not a good mechanic to include in the game. There had to have been a way. There's a thing where in the very opening room of that level, they show you a star coin, but it's in an area that there's just zero possibility of being able to access. So you think, oh, I can walk through this wall. I try walking through the wall, then nothing happened. That's the room they're supposed to teach that to you. I didn't realize that you could walk through that wall until like my 10th attempt on the level. And then I'm like, oh, this is how it works. For some reason, sometimes you can walk through the wall, but not others. And it just was not awesome. I actually still haven't beaten the level.
Yeah, that sounds like user error.
No, it's not. Actually, no, I did beat the level. I'm on the castle.
All in all, it sounds like 10 out of 10. You love this game.
I actually do like it. It's just, there's nothing new about it.
But it's called New.
Never mind. It's entirely new and very fresh. Nintendo, you're awesome. No, it's just, it's kind of upsetting. Especially when you go from like Mario Odyssey and then you have like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, where like they really changed those two franchises. And then you go, and it's just to New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and it's just literally the same exact thing as before.
Well, I
really
mean,
good level design.
Defense, we knew we were stepping back as a remaster or remake of the
Yeah, I know. Version. No, I know, but still. But none of that matters, Chad. I really want to know what you thought of Resident Evil 2 demo, because I purposely did not play it because I'm just going to wait for the game to come out at this point. But what did you think of it?
So here's two things. One, yeah, I played more Beat Saber this week.
Shocker.
And in fact, aside from the 30 minutes of Resident Evil demo, because you can only play 30 minutes of it, that's all I played this week. And it's not to say I didn't play a lot of games this week. I just played a lot of Beat Saber. And here's where I am. I have officially S-ranked every single song on Expert, including Angel's Voices, and anyone who's playing it. I know there are a few of you who are playing it because somebody who follows me on the GG app is also playing Beat Saber. Also, if you're not following me on the GG app, please do, because I'd love to follow you and see what you're playing. I am Cowtipper, Cowtipr.
And I think I am just Holden
Depardo. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I've gotten every single trophy, including get a flawless on every single Expert song, including get
Sam, I'm following you on GG app, just by the way, just so you know.
Nice. Get an SS rank, which is not only get every single note on Expert rank, but also get an insane score as well, which requires a lot of hard work. Got that trophy. The only trophies I'm missing now are accumulate a total of 100 million points and accumulate 24 hours of playtime.
Chad, shut up.
Okay.
I'm on Sam's watch to play right now.
Yeah.
And he has Undertale. I played Undertale this week. I totally forgot.
You dumb bitch!
That game is awesome so far. I'll update you more when I continue playing it, but it's really great.
It's wonderful. I freaking love that game.
I will share one thing, because I just died laughing so hard at like 2 o'clock in the morning and everybody heard me. It's the beginning of the game, and this weird like goat mama thing is helping you get around, and she just looks at you and says, I know this is going to be scary, but you're going to have to walk all the way to the end of the hall by yourself. And then as you're just walking, just this music is building up, and you're like, is something going to happen? And then nothing happens. You just walk into the end of the hall, and she's like, I'm so sorry I had to have you do that. Like, that must have been very trying for you.
That game is so fucking funny and clever.
It's so funny. It's great. Anyway.
Totes Brills.
You can talk about Beat Saber again. I just got very excited. Sam,
no, so
you should play it. And also his Last of Us Remastered on here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this a podcast where we just talk about what other people are playing on GG app, or do we
I just got excited, okay, Chad?
I know.
I just got excited. You should play Last of Us, though, Samsung. It's a very good game. One of the
I'm
best
having a going away party because I'm moving in a week. I'm having a going away party on Friday where we're also going to play more Beat Saber and hopefully tackle those last two trophies. Because I have less than 10 hours left of gameplay, which sucks because I learned way too late that gameplay includes time when you're in a song, actively in a song, but also you have to finish the song. So if you fail the song 3/4 of the way in, that doesn't count.
What?
Or in like where I was grinding trophies trying to
that doesn't make sense.
I have to hit every single note, and then I get like 3/4 of the way through and I miss a note. Like, oh fuck, start over. That didn't count towards my playtime.
I don't like that.
But it doesn't matter because I'm having a fucking blast. There are now I'm doing one-handed versions of the songs too, and I fucking love that game. And I played the Resident Evil 2 demo, which is out only until January 31st. So if you have an Xbox One or a PS4, download it, play it before the 31st. You have the interesting thing about it is it's a one-shot demo. You have 30 minutes to play this. That's it. If you beat the demo in 30 minutes and you have time left over, you can start the demo again. You can branch out and explore as much of it. You don't have to beat it in the 30 minutes, but no matter what, after 30 minutes, you literally cannot start it again. You can't play it.
There are apparently some ways around that, from what I've heard.
Maybe if you create like a second user on your PlayStation, maybe that user can do it. I don't know. But maybe. I think it's super cool. I played it, and I'm fucking stoked. Resident Evil 2, that police station, is so fucking eerie. The whole time, I've started telling myself, by the end of a game, like when you're playing Dark Souls or Bloodborne or even Resident Evil 7, where like by the end of the game, the things that once terrified you are now just like meaningless to you. Mm-hmm. Like you come across an enemy in Bloodborne who, like, the very first time you see one of the big axe executioner guys that you see in the very beginning, you're like, oh my god, that's the scariest thing in the world, and you're screaming and you're terrified, but then by the end of the game, it's just another enemy and you kill it. I've started Resident Evil 2 demo trying to think that way. We're like, these are just zombies. Just breathe. They're slow. You're going to be able to kill it. Don't worry. Didn't fucking work. Still scared as shit.
I'm excited to play it. I can't wait. But I'm going to wait till the full game comes out now.
It's great. It's got Resident Evil 4-like controls.
Is it tank controls?
No.
Okay. It's not Resident Evil 4-like controls.
Yeah, it is.
Resident Evil 4 had tank controls, didn't it? You had to stop to aim and shoot, didn't you? You absolutely did, yes.
You had to stop to aim and shoot, but it's not tank controls.
Isn't tank controls when you have to stop to aim and shoot?
No, tank controls means that, like, if you're moving forward and then you want to kind of veer to the left, you have to stop, turn to the left, and then move forward. Like, in order to rotate, you have to rotate separately from moving forward and back.
Oh, okay. That's not how I envision tank controls.
That's tank controls. That's Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Okay.
And
I always... Okay. Well, okay, so you have to stop and to shoot in this game as well.
No, you do not.
You do not. Okay. So it's not like Resident Evil 4 then, because you do have to do that in Resident Evil 4.
There's a small difference. You're right. But it does not have tank controls.
Okay.
But it has excellent controls. Anyway, the lighting of this is fantastic. I don't know whether it's just because I have a sexy-ass OLED TV with HDR on, but there are times where, like, the power's out and you only have your flashlight, and you're walking down a hallway or you're walking into a room and you literally only see what's in the cone of your flashlight. And
that's cool.
It's terrifying. I love it. Love it so much. I beat the demo literally with like 3 seconds to spare. So it says, thanks for playing Resident Evil 2. And then the next screen was 30 minutes are up. Fuck yes! The one thing that I'm nervous about is, if you've listened to our Barf episode about playing Resident Evil 1 Remake, the thing that kept me from playing the game was the item management and having to run back and forth between the boxes so many times. Mm-hmm. It does seem like you have a limited inventory in this one.
But same with Resident Evil 7, and that game was still really good.
Yeah, this one has 8 slots, though.
Oh, how many were in 1?
You had 6 if you were Chris, which is what I was, and you had 8 if you were What's-Her-Face.
That's right.
Claire.
But also, though, in Resident Evil 7, you started off with less and you could increase it as you went throughout the game.
Yeah, I think that also exists in this one, but
okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll find out together.
I'm pumped as fuck. I immediately afterwards pre-ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to play that next Friday. It's coming out next Freitag. That's Deutsch for Friday. Freitag. That's all I played this week. We're done with this segment.
You only played Friday by Rebecca Black?
By Rebecca Black. No, I played Freitag.
Oh, Freitag by
Rebecca Schwartz.
Well, I think it brings us to Nintendo news now.
Does it?
It
does.
Are
we in Nintendo news already? Welcome, Questlog. What's going on, bruh?
I think this next story is amazing. So
this is so hard to believe.
This is really hard to believe, yeah. So there's a whole Universal Studios. They were going to have Pokemon and Zelda attractions in their theme park, but then I guess not. They decided it's a bad idea, so they're not going to do it.
I feel like just 4 to 6 weeks ago, Universal released like an update with plans of the park.
I feel like the same thing, yeah. But they went. This is literally the exact opposite direction. They were going to, quote from the article, triple down on Nintendo IP parks, and they decided just to shelve it for 4 years or permanently, which is baffling to me.
That's insane.
The reason is apparently they want to avoid competition with the Harry Potter attractions,
which is fucking dope. Oh, Diagon Alley is the most magical, amazing place on the planet.
I don't think it'd take away from Nintendo. I just think it'd be more reason to go there. Like, it's just stupid. I think the next reason is the stupidest, though. I mean, honestly, This is so stupid. I redacted for you because I want you to guess what this is. So there was an attraction that they released based on a popular, I'll say this, movie IP, and they said because of that, Nintendo probably won't work. What do you think that movie IP is?
Well, going into this, I thought it was going to be Simpsons or Dr. Seuss. Mm-hmm. But now hearing movie, my guess is Transformers.
That would make more sense.
Or Minions.
That would be the closest to make the most sense. It's Fast and Furious.
Oh, because they do have that Fast and Furious thing.
Because the Fast and Furious attraction didn't work, there's just no way people would come for Zelda or Pokemon. What?
Oh, man.
What is the logic
in that? And even Nintendo, like 2 weeks ago, said, oh, yeah. Oh, it was last week that we were talking about the article where, oh, my God, Nintendo might not make any more consoles. They're like, oh, yeah, we're working on putting our IPs into movies and theme parks. And, like, that was an active part of the discussion last week.
Yeah. But again, in what world do you compare Fast and the Furious to Nintendo? Like, no one, I just don't get it. But I feel like no one's like, baby, honey, I love Fast and Furious so much that I want to make it a point to share my love of Fast and the Furious with my child as they grow up, to share that amazing experience of watching Vin Diesel in a car. No, they say that about Nintendo and playing Nintendo games with their kids growing up. It's a different thing completely. There's a nostalgia and a multi-generational appeal that Fast and the Furious doesn't have. It doesn't have that. And it's just like, it's baffling to me that they would compare the two. Well, I hope this rumor's bullshit because like that's very surprising to me. In
their defense, Furious 7 is like the 7th highest grossing film of all time, over $1 billion.
Sure, so. Pokemon's also the biggest intellectual property on the planet, and they're going to ignore it because the Fast and the Furious movies didn't do well.
But it doesn't have Vin Diesel.
I would love to see a Vin Diesel Pokemon. Not Vin Diesel in Pokemon, a Vin Diesel Pokemon.
No, I feel like Vigoroth is Vin Diesel.
Vigoroth? I don't know what it is.
He's like the big angry sloth.
Yes, that would work well for Vin Diesel, absolutely. Yep. So that's stupid. Speaking of stupid, Nintendo decided to release NES games on the Nintendo Switch Online service, and that is justifiably making people upset.
I love this headline. Monthly waves of NES games are triggering monthly complaints about Switch Online. Thank you, Kotaku.
So whenever they release the video that announces new NES games coming to the online service, it just gets an abnormally larger amount of dislikes to like ratio than any other video on Nintendo's YouTube channel. It is great, and that's how you should communicate to Nintendo, that it's really stupid to put NES games on there. I do think, in defense of Nintendo, I think they did it because they said, hey, the NES Classic did really well. I bet we can get away with just having NES games at launch because people seem to be really excited about NES games.
Nah.
I think that would make sense.
Here's the thing, though. This title is totally true because I was thinking the other day, I was like, hey, we never had our Switch Online discussion. And then I was thinking, hey, I've literally never used a feature of Nintendo Online since it launched in September.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Not a single feature. Maybe
I use Online for Mario Kart, but that's it.
I haven't used it for Smash. I haven't used it for anything. Maybe a save that I don't care about because all I've been playing such other things that are not compatible with Switch saves on the cloud. I've literally never used a feature of it. And then, it's right. I always forget it's there because I never use any part of it. And then every month, this little thing comes around. Oh, these 3 games. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's a piece of shit service.
I mean, it is priced way better. But again, like it doesn't offer what it should offer. And I'd be more comfortable with it if they offered SNES games. We'll get to that in a second. But it's just baffling. It's like game safe, but not everywhere. You have NES games, but not all of them, or not even other platforms that you'd want to have. Everything just feels incomplete. One thing I do want to say that I think is a kind of ridiculous criticism is because in the article from Kotaku, he kind of broke down pretty well, I'd say too, what people are complaining about in the comments. So like wanting more games and faster, that's fair. More platforms, I think that's fair. But the other one is wanting old school Virtual Console back, and I don't agree. I'd rather have the online service model where it's like, just here's the library, pick what you want to play. I just want them to have more content there. But I think people are so upset with the implementation of the online service that they're willing to go back to a Virtual Console that they also complained about because you had to pay for all your games individually, even if you bought them again before. So like they'd rather go back to that shitty system than the current shitty system that we have right now. Because people
I don't know why we can't have two shitty systems.
No, just have the one and Nintendo Online Service system. It's fine. Just have better games that people are interested in.
Yeah.
It's just when they announce.
But also, like, you have Netflix and you have iTunes. You can buy a movie or you can stream a library of movies. Why can't we have two forms of this shitty service? A shitty buy it again every single time that we release it, or a shitty stream it if you can find something in the trash? Because
Netflix themselves does not buy and sell games, and Netflix does not buy and stream movies, and iTunes does not buy and stream movies. There's different services from different companies. If you offer, if like Nintendo might say, hey, people are going to pay Nintendo Online Service because they just want access to a handful of those SNES games. If people just bought those SNES games, then they're going to lose out on the yearly revenue of people continually playing those games. So they won't do both.
We're both.
But
if you like SNES games and you like Nintendo's online service, or you don't like it but you might like it later with better improvements, lots of might in there, have something to look forward to, because there's a person named Cappuccino Heck.
Love that name. Cappuccino with a K.
With a K. Heck with a capitalized, all one word. Has found some code in Nintendo's online service for NES that has titles of SNES games on them.
Yeah.
There's a huge list of 22 games. We're not going to read them because most of them are basically the lineup of the SNES Classic.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of things on there that aren't on it, like Breath of Fire 2 is one that stood out. It's like, oh, that's not on the SNES Classic, but it might be on that one. Mm-hmm. Stunt Race FX, which I was like, oh, I never heard of that one. And then I looked at the box art for it, and I was like, I totally fucking played the shit out of that game. Which reminds me, I need to go on the GG app and add that to my abandoned list.
I love that game. I'm going to abandon it.
Hey, I'm never going to play it again.
That's
certainly
true.
Not shelved, and I didn't beat it because I was a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it has your usual suspects on there. It has Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Link to the Past.
Yep.
Kirby's Dream Land, that kind of stuff. Or I should say Dream Land 3.
Yes.
So, good stuff on there. This is bound to happen. They're going to do it this year. I'd be shocked if they didn't. My guess is that this is going to happen probably whenever they have their first Direct of the year.
Yeah, Direct of the year. They've got the 2-year anniversary of Switch coming up in like 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they want to do something for that.
Absolutely.
Small other little thing that came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Also in that code that was kind of perused a bit was the names of 4 emulators.
Yes.
So the emulators that Nintendo uses to actually emulate these NES games on the Switch is the same one it created for the NES Classic. So that emulator appears there. One called Canoe, which is the same one it used for the SNES Classic, also appears on the Switch. And then there are 2 other code names on the Switch that don't exist anywhere else right now. And rumors are that could be the N64 Classic and the GameCube Classic, or it could just be emulators they've developed for Switch for those types of games, or maybe it's for Game Boy Classic and the Game Boy games on the Switch. Who fucking knows? But there are 2 other types of emulators on there that have not been seen before that are ready for Switch.
How exciting.
Spoopy. Ghost emulators.
Speaking of spoopy, do you want to go to Fetch Quest?
Let's go to our Fetch Quest, where we just kind of talk about the titles of things because there's not much else to talk about.
Yeah. So here we have GameStop is going to has a surge of 12% in their stock because it was announced there's going to be a buyer, or there could be a buyer next month for them, and God knows they need help. Because
they do.
So I'm interested to see what happens there. Metroid Prime 4 release date leaked by a retailer for November 29th on a Czech store called Super Gamer. I'm going to call bullshit.
CZECH.
I'm going to call bullshit on this one. I don't think it's going to come out November 29th because that's when really big games come out. Xenoblade, big franchise. Smash Bros, way bigger franchise. I don't think Metroid is going to fit there. I don't think it works.
You think Xenoblade's bigger than Metroid?
I think more recently it has had bigger appeal because it's been in the limelight more than Metroid has been.
Oh.
That's how I'd phrase that. Mortal Kombat 11 is getting a delay. Apparently, this is rumored, yeah.
Rumor.
Where instead of coming out April 23rd with the PS4 and Xbox One, now it's going to be coming May 10th. Apparently, we'll see. That has not been for every retailer, just for some of them. But here's some official stuff.
Ooh!
We got handcrafted Yoshi and Kirby games coming in March. I thought they say new handcrafted, even though one of them is literally a remake. Yoshi's Crafted World is coming March 29th, and Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn is coming March 8th. Very exciting.
I don't think I'll get either one of those, but maybe... No, I'm not going to get Yoshi. It looked interesting, but not enough to spend money on.
No, I probably won't get it either. But it is interesting that they announced the game coming out March 29th when they apparently were supposed to have a Direct this month. Like, why wouldn't they have just held that for the Direct?
Maybe no Direct. Maybe they're going under. Maybe they're not getting a Universal theme park, and now they're just blowing up.
And they're not going to make consoles anymore. It's over.
That's it.
It's done.
Oh, God.
Maybe they could get help Kirby from Sony, who sold 91.6 million consoles last quarter.
Shit.
Just kidding, overall. That'd be amazing. We sold 91 million consoles last quarter. And so they're just doing great. So good for them. And then lastly... When will companies learn? Fox says more Alien games are coming amid mobile game backlash. That's from Eurogamer. That's going to be a lesson I think companies learn is if you announce the mobile version of a console IP, just hint. Just hint. Don't announce. Just hint.
Yeah.
That there's something coming. Don't worry. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't hate us.
Same thing happened with Diablo. Same thing happened with Alien.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably good advice, I think.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you, Holden, for blasting through those.
No problem.
Like a finger blasting seminar.
Jesus Christ. Man, he was reading those news stories like a finger blasting seminar.
Damn it, now I've got the hiccups. Our third-party quest log starts with some news from CES and HTC Vive.
Nice.
So coming out of CES, HTC announced Vive Port Infinity, which is basically a subscription service to Vive games and experiences on your HTC Vive. I say the word Vive a lot in the next 2 minutes. Vive Port Infinity subscription, basically you have, from my understanding of it, you have a 3, 6, or 12-month subscription option that gets you access to 15, 30, or 60 games respectively, which is about 5 games per month. And not split up, you only get 5 per month, but based on the number you subscribe to, which is weird. That's a weird model to me. I don't know if I understood that correctly, but...
Yeah, honestly, what I gathered is you're going to have like 15, 30, or 60 games to have access to, and then 5 new games. Like, those are backlog games, here are 5 new games. I honestly didn't quite get it, but maybe that's why they're making an unlimited one, because their current offer doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, maybe.
That might be it.
So there is no price point announced for these yet, but it is launching April 5th. I do think that's a really cool thing for VR specifically because a lot of... Well, we're starting to see a lot more actual full gameplay experiences especially with what's coming out on PSVR recently. But a lot of what's available in VR are shorter, interesting experiences. So being able to have access to just a ton of those, you're like, you know what? Maybe I do want to dip in and see what this cool the heist shooter is. Maybe I want to dip in and see what this cool Portal experience is. I think it's a great way to expose people to a lot of those other things.
I agree. I also just think that it'll get people talking more about VR games, which then just only can help out the industry and kind of the VR niche, if you will. Just good overall. So I'm excited for that. They also, though, announced a new Vive headset. It's really more of a slight revision to the Vive Pro. Which
is so weird because the Vive Pro just came out.
Yes. This one's called the
Vive Pro I.
Vive Pro I, but this does have a really important technology in it, I think. And that is that it tracks your eye. And the reason that's important is that they can then render only what you're actually looking at as like a focus point, basically.
Right.
Which is going to reduce the number of things that have to be processed, which means that more resources can be dedicated to making that thing you're looking at have more detail, or it runs better. Like it just frees up resources, which is hugely important in VR. So this is a cool advancement. Also, they mentioned that you can select items with your eye using it. So, like, when you're watching, like, TV or something like that, or video kind of content, you don't have to use a little remote. You can just look at content to, like, choose a menu option. It's almost to that point
where you're just, like, thinking, I want to watch that movie. You're just lingering on it with your eyes. The only thing I'm not excited about this, because we don't have a whole lot of info on how it's going to work for developers, is, like, are they going to have to do extra work in order to program in the eye tracking into their games? Because if they already have to make a game for hopefully Oculus, Oculus Go, Vive, Vive Pro, and now Vive Pro Eye. Like, the possibility, if something is a Vive Pro Eye exclusive thing, could be really great with really high-fidelity graphics, as long as it only has to render one specific part. But if you want to make this game accessible to a wide variety of players...
I think this is one of those things that it needs to get started somehow, because it's clearly better than the current method.
Right.
So, like, yeah, I don't think developers would be... They can't spend too much time thinking about it because VR is already a niche. They're already kind of taking a risk by getting into VR, let alone an eye-tracking VR headset specifically. Right. So, like, it'll get adoption with developers once there's a larger amount of headsets that support that in the market. But it's undeniably better, so it will happen. I just think it will happen. I know Oculus has shown this off. I'd imagine the next PlayStation headset will have something along these lines at some point. I just don't see it not happening. Especially when you think about mobile VR headsets, which are going to become a primary method of VR, where you have a dedicated headset, which actually I forgot to include it here, but Vive has one now called Vive Focus. And
another Vive headset now.
But the point I'm getting at is that when you're thinking about mobile VR, those resources and CPU cycles are really, really important and much more precious than they are in a desktop VR environment. So that eye tracking stuff will be huge in mobile VR when they need to be as efficient as possible. So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of making the technology as efficient to manufacture as it possibly can, getting all the headsets, getting the cost down, getting adoption, and then you'll finally start to see games made specifically for it. But it just has to start somewhere.
Yeah. So I guess in the short term, you wouldn't see, I guess, so much of like an improved experience with the eye tracking. Mm-hmm. You would just see less of a strain on your computer.
Yeah.
I guess until that technology is like out there enough and proliferated enough that people can develop for that specific feature.
This is just me speculating. This is not like an official statement, but I kind of it makes me think of when Apple started doing the Retina displays in iPhone, and they're like, "Hey, you don't have to do anything. The text will already look sharper. But if you go under the hood and like put in some better graphics in there, like you really can get a better result if you want to put the effort. You don't have to. Yeah. You don't have to, but we promise it'll be better if you do." So it could be something like that too.
Hot.
Chad, tell me about this next one, because this next story is bananas awesome, I think.
BANA awesome. Wait a minute. Oh, you're talking about the Division 2?
Yeah, I think this is a cool story.
Yeah. So Division 2 will not be releasing on Steam. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the Bungie Activision thing, which I also think is awesome.
That is awesome too, yeah.
Division 2 skips Steam as Ubisoft chooses Epic Games Store instead. This is coming from US Gamer. This is totally dope. It's so weird to say that I'm happy to see the fall of Steam, because that's bad. Like, framing it that way is bad, because that's so many people's livelihoods. That's like, but I'm also glad to see we have competitors. There are reasons now for Steam to not be a monopoly and start playing by games like maybe we don't need a 30-70 split, things like that. And this is exactly how that topple starts to happen, and we get more fair compensation for the people who play our games or who make our games. So, shout out to Division 2. If you pre-ordered it elsewhere, other than a Epic Games Store, they are still honoring those pre-orders. However, if you have not pre-ordered it yet and you plan on purchasing it, you will have to do that from the Epic Games Store or directly from Ubisoft themselves, which is totes cool.
Yeah, at this point, this will keep happening. Like, if the Division could do it, anyone, I think, could do it. That's a very big game coming out. Yep. And
we saw, too, things like Fallout 76.
Yep.
You had to download that from its own thing, right? It wasn't
Bethesda,
on Steam. You had to download it straight from Bethesda.
Yep.
Yeah, you're starting to see more and more skipping Steam, and I think that's really cool.
Yes, and I think what also is, like, they're going to have to weigh out what's going to be better for them financially, dropping it to 80-20 or 90-10 or somewhere in between, or riding this out and having the reduction in sales happen anyway.
Yep.
And I just don't think they're going to want to ride it out. They might as well just take the hit in revenue immediately and change the revenue split, I think.
Speaking of, we don't have this in here, but it's just a one-off little fetch thing. Steam also announced that they are outlining their plans for an overhaul of Steam. And all of the things the changes that are coming, basically all they announced was, we've got some stuff coming, we're freaking out right now, but we're going to make discoverability easier.
Yeah,
and that's all they've really said. But I think right now they're definitely feeling the hurt, and they're freaking out, and they're like, how do we change this to bring people back?
So to be fair, part of that thing too was they always release a very informal... I actually read that whole thing, and the reason I didn't include it is how shockingly informal it is. They don't even call trademarked products by their trademark name. Like, they literally call the Switch Pro controller the Nintendo Switch Pro. Or the Switch Pro, like, constantly throughout.
So they just literally rushed it out.
They just rushed it out,
kind
yeah.
of editorial
but
editing,
but they started off with like, hey, this is an informal thing we like to post out at the end of every year, just kind of saying where we are. So they were being very, very casual about it. It honestly just felt like someone was told to write something up.
Yeah.
But I mean,
hey, let's call them some investors. Let's call them some players who are planning on moving.
Yeah, it was very strange. I'm very surprised that they legitimately misspelled Nintendo Switch Pro controller. They didn't misspell it. They didn't get the name right. And I'm like, this is definitely not a formal thing if they're getting that kind of information wrong. I just thought that was interesting and worth noting.
Suck it, Fezd. For anyone who hasn't been along with us for the ride, Fezd is a wonderful individual who's been with us almost since the beginning of the podcast, maybe the beginning. I feel like he was there for the first photo mode. And he's our resident PC person, so anytime something negative comes up against a PC... Oh, this is also positive for PC. Fucking suck it. Anyway.
Speaking of sucking it, Activision can suck it according to Bungie.
I don't know if they can suck it.
No,
because
it was very respectful.
Mutual, but yeah.
It was very respectful. Yeah,
so Bungie has divorced themselves from Activision. They have acquired the publishing rights to Destiny from Activision, and going forward, they will be self-publishing. It will technically be an indie game, unless they seek other publishers or somebody tends to buy them or something like that. And Activision will go on to continue making games for their established IPs, and I think this is a really, really exciting moment for Bungie.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think there are two things to this. One, it gives them a little bit more freedom to take some risks, I think, with Destiny that maybe they wanted to do, but maybe Activision didn't really give them the opportunity to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's been rumors of like RPG mechanics they want to put in there.
Right, that maybe Activision might not have been on board with. But two, they've got to put up or shut up now, because now they don't have someone to blame it on. If something doesn't go right, our publishing partners, they wanted us to do it this way. But, well, now you are your publishing partner, so you better make some good decisions.
Yes.
But I'm totally pumped for this. There have been a lot of rumors about potential buyouts. Like, people have been like, what if Xbox buys Bungie? And that's one of their new studios. I think they had that chance, and Bungie doesn't want that. I mean, obviously, they made Halo games for a long time.
In their whole statement, too, they really pushed how much they're excited to be independent. So I'd just be very surprised if they went from, we can't wait to be independent, to being owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of independence.
Yeah.
So, but that said, Phil Spencer was very supportive on Twitter. He said, looking forward to a very bright future working with one of my favorite independent studios on one of my favorite franchises. Excited to see how they continue to grow and evolve Destiny. I just love Phil Spencer. He's awesome.
Why don't you marry him? Oh, I fucking got you. Idiot.
I feel like he's the most positive person in the game industry.
Yeah, he's great.
He's awesome. We need more people like Phil Spencer.
He's great. What did I say while we were watching the Game Awards? What did I say? He's like I don't remember. I said something very funny. If you're listening, insert laugh track here. Yeah. Chad, you're so funny.
But the point is that Phil Spencer is a rare individual in the gaming industry, unlike in the future where streaming services won't be rare at all because they're going to be everywhere because we have so many being announced. Well, not announced, but rumored in this case. So we have two streaming services that were rumored this week, and we're going to talk about both of them. Do you want to start with one in particular, Chad?
Well, one of them, yeah, okay. I want to start with the Verizon one because that's the one I know most about.
Okay.
So the Verizon...
Good, it's one I know the least about, so...
Great. So from The Verge, Verizon is quietly testing its own Netflix-style cloud gaming service. So apparently right now, Verizon is trying to branch out from not only the TV and mobile and internet and pretty much all-encompassing, monopolizing. They're almost going to be Comcast soon. They're trying to branch out a little bit more and also get into game streaming. And what they're currently apparently testing is a game streaming service similar to like what we saw with the Google Stream, Project Stream, where you had Assassin's Creed. And if you are part of this alpha test, you get an NVIDIA Shield tablet or an NVIDIA Shield with an Xbox One controller, and you have access to stream a library of games. There's apparently a large selection of games, 135 of them. You also get an Amazon gift card for participating. And a lot of the big response has been like, there's been terrible lag. It's a really crappy experience. But they're now looking to roll that out to select people on Android through the Google Play Store as well. You can download an app. But this is not going to be like a wide thing right now. Mm-hmm. It's still going to be selected people who are testing out the service. But what is kind of most interesting is a selection of games that are gathered from a couple screenshots.
Yeah.
That included Detroit Become Human and God of War, which are both PlayStation exclusive. Now, the person on The Verge who wrote this up said it is very, very likely that a lot of these screenshots are just placeholders for what could possibly be on the service, or an idea of what you could expect to see from Verizon.
There's just like streaming. No way God of War or any first-party game
imagine.
Would be, I'd be shot, including Microsoft stuff. As much as it to be everywhere now, just no.
Yeah, I can't see them going through a Verizon app. I could see an Xbox app on your phone, but not their games through a Verizon app on your phone.
Yeah. And also, too, I think that's what's going to hurt services like this, is not really having exclusive content from really noticeable brands immediately. Like, they're going to have to really shell out money to get exclusive content. And I don't just see Verizon buying a game studio and making a game studio.
No. So, yeah, at the end of this month, they're kind of branching out from the NVIDIA Shield testing to actually an Android app. But don't expect to see it anytime soon, especially from what the rumors are of how the performance and how it's performing with the lag and all of that kind of stuff. But hold on, tell me about the Amazon game streaming service. Jesus Christ.
So there's really actually not a lot known about it. We just really know that it's going to be, I put it here, laughing in 2020, launching in 2020. And it's going to allow console games to be played on mobile devices, yada, yada, yada. That's the whole point. It's very, very limited in details of what's happening here. But I think that Amazon has the best chance of being a big player in the game streaming service kind of arena that they'll be coming out.
Yeah.
Two big reasons. One is that most of the internet runs off of AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Yeah.
They just do. They own so much of the infrastructure that they're going to have a great infrastructure to run it on, just like Microsoft is in the same boat. A lot of the internet runs off of Microsoft servers, so they're both in really good position for that. But also, they've bought they have a game studio, Amazon Game Studios, and they've had it for 6 years now.
Yeah, they tried to make games for the Fire TV stuff.
And that didn't pan out. Do you know when the last time they released a game is?
2014.
2015.
Damn it.
Very close, very close. The point is that if the service isn't coming out until 2020, well, that's 5 years for the 3 studios they have to make games. So it's very likely it's going to happen. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to go to the website and just see what they plan to be working on. And they basically just said it on their front page in their mission statement. Hi, we're making games for a streaming service. Listen to this. This is an exact quote. It says, we will continue to a future where everyone is a gamer and every gamer can create, compete, collaborate, and connect with others at a massive scale. Already it's kind of like, all right, there's some like stuff in there that are like maybe could be streaming services. But then the next sentence comes up. It's our games teams in Seattle, Irvine, and San Diego, so 3 studios, are developing games that harness the power of Amazon Web Services and Twitch to create bold new game experiences.
I always forget they own Twitch.
Yes, they own Twitch. So very interesting. They're going to have it's not even like a theory. They're going to have exclusive games for their Amazon Web Services. They've been making games for a while now. They're going to do a good job, I think. For the Verizon, I think will be fine because they have it's an ISP. I mean, they'll do fine. But I think Amazon's going to rock it. I really do. I think Amazon's going to do really, really well. And also too,
we'll see how they compete with Google and Verizon and Xbox and everyone else in the sun
and EA
and someone else announced one at E3. Who cares? Oh my god.
Is it Devolver?
Probably Devolver. But they're only going to have like one game, and it's a Flash game from 1994.
I could see them doing that. That'd be really funny. But I think the two that are going to be on top are going to be Microsoft and Amazon. That's my prediction. The two big game streaming services will be Amazon and Microsoft. And, of course, Sony's already there, too.
End of 2019? Let's go.
End of 2019. But, yeah, that's all I got there.
Hot. Is that the end of our quest log?
That is the end of the quest log.
Oh, fuck.
Have we made it to the main quest?
We're not getting... What?
Are we at the main quest now?
We're at the main quest, bro.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to our main quest, our main topic for today. And this one actually comes from one of our newest fans, listeners, friends, designated drivers, golfer. I don't know if you golf. News people who are following us on Twitter reached out to us and asked, I would really enjoy getting to know y'all's story. Sorry, I should probably name the person. Hi, Silo Sword. SILOSWORD on Twitter said, hi, I would really like to
You're just the spelling bee champ this episode.
I know, right?
You're so good at spelling.
Let me tell you, second grade, I was already on an advanced spelling list aside from the rest of the class.
Whoa.
Because I'm fucking smart. But my nom de plume... Sorry, I just felt like being pretentious there. No, there was a word, incomprehensible was one of my spelling words.
Ooh.
And I would run around being like, hey, I can spell incomprehensible in less than blah, blah, blah seconds. I don't remember what it was. I'd be like, I-T-O-M-P-R-H-N-S-A-I-B-L-E. And they'd be like, oh my God, it's so fast. And I was like, yeah. And I would just do that to all the ladies.
All the ladies.
And by that, I just meant anyone who would listen because I craved attention.
And everyone thought,
anyway.
Whoa, Chad's so cool. He can spell incomprehensible.
And I'm over here spelling dessert. And I still spell it with one S, you idiot. You're 29. To be clear, I spell it with two S's because that's the way you spell dessert. Two S's because it's filling, whereas a desert is empty, one S.
Oh, I like that. I never knew that trick. That's a good trick. I always learn like the hoping versus hopping because bunnies hop with 2 feet.
Ooh. But we're not talking about the English language here and little mnemonic tricks. We're talking about
demonic tricks.
Demonic.
That the devil gave us to learn how to spell properly.
I would really enjoy getting to know y'all's story of how you got your podcast started and how y'all met. First of all, I applaud your use of y'all. Thank you. Second, it has inspired me as I've been wanting to become a content creator of some sort, streaming or podcast. Any tips or tricks you could offer would be greatly appreciated. Well, it's your fucking lucky day because you're not the only one that's interested. We've got a ton of people who have been asking us this week, obviously because if you listen to our last episode, we got a shout out on Kind of Funny Games Daily, and now we have a whole bunch of Kind of Funny best friends who have joined our community as well, who starting next week you're going to be listening to as well as guests on the podcast.
Boom.
But a lot of people are just now meeting us for the first time, and we want to kind of give them our journey because some of you haven't been following us from the beginning. So Holden, how did we meet?
Yeah, so we worked together at the same, we'll say, retail store for a little while. We were acquaintances, and then one day, Chad did maybe one of the nicest things a human being can do to another human being.
Because I'm a dope motherfucker. I spelled incomprehensible.
That's what it was. He taught me how to spell incomprehensible.
I said, guess how fast I can spell incomprehensible?
And I said, let's do a podcast. That's amazing. No, so this is when the Majora's Mask new 3DS was coming out. And I was like, man, that looks so awesome. And Chad's like, hey, do you want me to buy one so you can get a pre-ordered one and then just buy it off of me? And I'm like, absolutely, I'd love to do that. You're an amazing person. And then we just became friends after that. And then
it was one of those things that was like, going to be really, like, you had to pre-orders were selling out incredibly quickly.
And Chad's really good at getting those pre-orders. If you listen to the podcast, you'll know Chad is really good at that.
Follow Wario64 on Twitter and turn on alerts.
No, you just ruined the secret. Just ruin the secret.
Isn't the secret putting it on a vision board and just it happens because you said it out loud?
No, it's the secret is knowing it's going to happen is the only way it's going to happen.
Shut up. Oh, find someone who makes you laugh.
You just put into the world, but you get out of it. Or the other way around. I just messed that up. Anyway, let's just get to our advice. That's going to sound better than last place.
Yeah, so we met, we hung out, we had fun. And actually, we talked about making a podcast for a long time before we actually made a podcast.
Yeah.
We were like, we should make a podcast. Yeah, we should. Hey, maybe we should name our podcast. Yeah. Here's a cool name for it. Cool. 3 months later, go by. Yeah, and then we just fucking finally did it.
Yeah, we just did it. And it's been a journey since. It's actually been pretty... I think both of us are kind of amazed that we kept up with it for this long.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, we worked in the same spot. Mm-hmm. We now live in 2 very separate locations. Yes. Chicago for me, Rhode Island for Holden. Mm-hmm. What city in Rhode Island again?
East Greenwich.
East Greenwich.
It's
so many people have been asking. I was like, I don't know, fucking somewhere in that tiny state. Just take a look to the left, look to the right. You'll probably see
them. So we've maintained doing it. Actually, funny enough, I think the podcast got better after the move.
I think so too. Yeah. I was DMing with someone on Twitter, and they were like, "Yeah, so and so, my podcast kind of fell apart when we moved away." And I was like, "Man, we're lucky because I feel like our podcast got stronger after we moved away." Because I feel like whenever you left, I was like, "Oh shit, that's probably going to be the end of our podcast." We'll try. It's like a long distance relationship. We'll try to keep it up, but it's going to fall apart. We're going to fuck other people.
But at this point, we've been fucking the same each other since more actually than we did before I left. Yeah,
that's right. But I feel like when you did leave, we it made us make more of a commitment to it so that it wouldn't fall apart.
Totally,
We started as the gaming podcast where our motto was occasionally weekly, so we could give ourselves an excuse to not post an episode one week. And but now we're...
Also, too, like, I was using Chad's microphones to record. So I got my own equipment. Like, at that point... So I think I got a better microphone than the second microphone you had.
Yeah, your Yeti is much better than the Snowball that I had.
So that improved as well. But also, I think we have a pretty good process for getting the audio as well. So we do FaceTime, obviously, because we're not in the same room. But then we record our own audio separately into Logic. And then we do a clap at the beginning, like that.
3, 2, 1. We all clap. Sync it up.
And then I just send the audio to Chad. He does his brilliant audio wizardry on it. And it gets released.
Yeah, for anyone who's like looking to create something, I think this is one of the first things we should do is invest in some equipment. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Like, don't be like, oh my god, I have to spend like $300 on a podcast mic setup. Like, there's a certain threshold where, like, just above crappy phone call quality, where it's acceptable to listen to, especially for podcasts.
I'm gonna check these off as we do them.
Okay, so yeah, I think you should invest in something. People ask for tips and tricks. We're now entering the tips and tricks and less the how a man led a woman kind of section.
The birds and bees discussion of respawning.
The birds and
fire.
bees, and now we're talking about how to be a good bird or how to be a good bee. Invest in something. Even like a $50 Blue Snowball is a great starter mic. Something above like recording the audio from a Skype call or recording the audio from an actual phone call. Because when you're listening to something, I've listened to so many podcasts where I'm listening and it's like, I like what they're saying, but it's just like, I already don't like talking on the phone, so I don't want to hear a phone conversation. And it's like that audio quality is enough to turn me off and not want to listen.
You could be having the most interesting conversation on the planet. You could literally be telling me the location of the Holy Grail, and I'll stop listening to your podcast because it doesn't sound great.
Yeah. Also, I don't believe in the Holy Grail, so
blasphemy.
But yeah,
did you not see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
I did, and they were aliens. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
No,
you chose poorly.
You chose poorly.
Yeah,
you did choose poorly.
On the flip side, whatever you're holding in your hand probably has the capability to record.
Yeah.
You don't need anything fancy. You don't need to go spend hundreds of dollars on a digital audio workstation. You've got GarageBand if you've got a Mac. Use that. If you don't have a Mac or for some reason don't have GarageBand, you can download Audacity. It's a great free app where you can just record audio to your computer. So I think that's a totally... And that's what we did right off the bat. I mean, I used Logic because I had it. Holden used GarageBand. Now he uses Logic. But don't freak out about needing some crazy software. Just record the audio. Even if you have a microphone that you plug into your phone, into the Voice Memos app, as long as you've got a recording of it.
But also just as general advice, honestly, if you're going to do a hobby, just do the hobby and then invest money in it once you are doing the hobby.
Yes.
Ted and I both work retail, and we can both we just see people going being like, I'm doing a podcast. I'm buying everything. Oh, yeah. This guy at my store a few weeks ago, he went to buy a 4K. He's like, I'm going to start doing a video podcast. Needs to be 4K 60 frames a second. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. No. Just use your phone to record it for now, man. And if you're really happy and loving it, then maybe you get that really expensive multi-$1,000 camera that does 4K 60 frames per second.
Yep.
Just
it's something that it's easier to
up.
say than do, obviously. But I've fallen in that trap several times where I'm like, man, I'd really love to like film this kind of cool video series. Like, oh, but you know what? If I wait 3 more months, I'm sure they're gonna have a better camera on the new phone. Or if I just save up enough for a better camera, or I got the camera now, but you know, like if I just save up a little, I can get a shotgun mic and that'll have better audio, and maybe I'll wait. And then I just never fucking do it because I'm always waiting for something better. So get something that is acceptable and start it now. And then learn as you go and improve when you can.
Yep, exactly.
Just do it.
In terms of improving while you can.
On. Just as Shia LaBeouf said that Nike said, just do it! Remember that video?
Yes, I do.
So good.
Speaking of always kind of looking to get better at that kind of stuff, always assessing. Chad and I have... I don't think... We have a pretty good format now. But it's basically always been in a state of evolution. It's never really... It's always different in terms of, like, we'll move things around if we have to. We don't really feel like we have to stick to anything specifically. But also, we never held on to a format as the finalized, like, perfect, we found it. Like, just be willing to try out and experiment things. A lot of the times we'll try things out and then... we'll go back to the old way. We've also like done segments that were done on a regular basis that we just, you know what, like, is this really the best thing for the podcast? I don't think so. So we drop it. Yep. Like for example, we used to have the whole, what do they called it? Leaderboard, right? I would just talk about, like the reviews for 3 games during the past month that we hadn't played, just so we get that in there. And I kind of thought, well, why include that? It's really just, here's the fact. And there's no discussion around it. So it's like, yeah, it's informative, but is this the best thing for the podcast? And just let it go. And so far, no one's complained, so I don't think it's been a problem. But just
and to be clear, that was a segment Holden came up with.
It was. I come up with all the good segments were Chad's segments. I haven't contributed anything worthwhile to the podcast. Which is the next one. Find someone different, interesting, or engaging to talk to.
Find someone who's really, really great, and then you're the piece of shit in the relationship.
No, it's really important not to have yourself on the podcast. Meaning, like, don't talk to yourself on the podcast. Talk to someone who doesn't have the same opinions as you, who's going to challenge you, who's going to tell you you're an idiot when they disagree. Playfully.
When you believe that the Switch won't be a real console. That's right. We don't fight.
We don't
when
fight.
You believe the Switch won't be a console till the Netflix app comes on it, you have someone across from you who wants to argue that no, Netflix app is worthless.
Yeah,
and it makes for wrong.
Exactly. Like, one of us is wrong here,
discussion.
And it's not me. And it makes for really good conversations when I'm the one in the right and Chad's wrong. It always makes for great conversations.
You're just such a delightful human.
I'm not arrogant or obnoxious at all. That's not a thing. No, in all seriousness, though, like, because Chad thinks differently than I do, I get insight as well. It just makes it interesting for me because I get insight that I wouldn't have considered. And very often in the show, I think you'll hear me say something, then Chad challenge me on it, and then I can't complete the next thought and just fuck you, Chad.
Yeah.
So it's always good. It makes you a better person to have people around you in your life that are different than you.
Yeah. I think the way you said it is you have to be engaged on the podcast as well as a listener.
Yeah.
Like, if you and I are literally saying the same things about all the same things, like, that's not engaging for me to talk about. It might be interesting for the person to listen to because maybe that's not something that they've played or something, an opinion that they had, but you got to be just as engaged as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of engaged, we're going to engage the community. That is probably my most favorite part of doing all of this is seeing when people enjoy our content. And with this kind of like recent small explosion that we've had, just seeing people saying, oh my God, I downloaded your most recent couple of episodes and I loved it. And you guys are really funny. You have great chemistry, blah, blah, blah. And it's like to be able to see that people are connecting with our content, that some of them are challenging our opinions, or some of them are like, oh my God, you played this game too. I can't wait to hear you talk about it. That kind of stuff, knowing that we're reaching people is super fucking cool to me. I remember the first time that we did photo mode and we said, so it's something that we used to do where we offer you some kind of photo-related challenge every single month, and then one person would win $10 or $15 or something like that to a gaming service. And the first time that we had people send in photos of themselves listening to our podcast, I was like, oh my God, the numbers that we're seeing aren't just robots. there are people who enjoy listening to us. That's so freaking cool. Or the Photoshop challenge where I said, I'm going to provide 12 green screen photos of me doing stupid things like laughing at a fork or have a VR headset. And then people are Photoshopping my face into games and shit. Like people are listening to us and they want to interact with us and connect with us. And it's so fucking cool. That's my favorite part of all of this. And seeing everyone reaching out in the last week or so is also so fucking cool. So my suggestion would be find ways to engage your community. Obviously, I entice people with money with our participation award and the photo mode and all of that kind of shit because I was desperately trying to make it happen and it turned out it worked. But maybe you don't have to. Like, for instance, the Thanks for Creating that we started a few weeks ago, just as a way to get people talking, but also
I have been on top of.
You have.
I've
been noticing.
I have not. I've been really bad about it.
What else is so fucking cool? When you see, like, I didn't even know because he didn't tag us in it, but someone you probably didn't work with while you were there, Will Clow, who listens to our podcast now.
I know of him.
He came up to me, showed me on his phone this tweet that he had tagged the guy who did the music for Bastion. And he was like, hey, thanks for making this music and this amazing thing. And the guy responded, and Will comes up to me, isn't this so cool when the creator actually responds to your shit? And I was like, I hadn't actually seen that one because he didn't hashtag it at all. I was like, that's what makes me super erect when making this podcast is those moments when people connect with us, they reach out, and they experience something really amazing, like connecting with an artist that they really appreciate.
It's special moments, and I don't know, you just get warm, fuzzy feelings when they happen. It's just really cool. It's really, really cool. And
So
I feel the same thing too, even though I'm not on social media a whole lot. I do feel the same thing as well for those people.
Holden does. And what's really funny is that as we started getting this onslaught, and that's the only word for it, this onslaught of tweets and DMs, and I'm like spending 4 to 5 hours a day for a good solid 4 or 5 days. Holden's like, I really want to go and read all of these messages with all of these people, but I don't want to screw up your workflow. Like, is it okay? I was like, oh yeah, totally go through, read all the shit. And if you're one of those people who's messaging back and forth with me, just know that Holden's there and he's reading and he's appreciating everything we're saying.
I've gone back even just like a few times being like, oh my God, this is happening. This is real. I have to like look again. Like, it's not there. Maybe it disappeared. It's like, oh no, it's still there. It's awesome. All those messages are still there.
Yes.
It's super, super cool. I have a note here, work retail. What was that note?
I don't remember, but I remember it being stupid. And you're like, oh, I'm going to put this stupid little catchphrase to remind me of whatever it was we were supposed to say.
Well, that's going to segue to one important one. Plan ahead.
I remember it.
Okay.
You talk about plan ahead first.
Yeah. Plan ahead. So when we started the podcast, little story for you, we didn't really plan for any episode at all. It was literally like, hey, Chad, you find 5 stories, and then I'll find 5 stories, and then we'll have what's called News War. In News War is where we might have found the same stories. Let's see who found the most original stories, like Boggle style, who found the most original words. And man, what a bad idea for having discussions about video games. It was just all over the place. Sometimes we would find basically the same stories, so we'd have it was just terrible.
Or we would find shit stories just because we knew the other person wouldn't sink that low and find such a piece of shit
exactly. Story. It just was a really, really... That's why we stopped doing it, actually. Oh, wait, why didn't you include the story?
Oh, I had 12 stories this week, and you only had 4. Looks like I fucking win the news war. Sure, all of them were like, new Amiibo releases. Great.
But also be like, oh, I didn't include that story because I thought you would have picked it, and it was the biggest story of the week. Now we're not talking about it. So, yeah, I think that was a problem. But also just I think the flow of the podcast and just honestly how entertaining it was skyrocketed once we started saying, hey, maybe we should just have some semblance of an idea of what we're going to talk about. And then it really has grown into we have full outlines for every episode. Like as we're doing every episode, we share an iCloud note where everything is checkboxed. And so we'll have like this story. Have we done it yet? We're going to check it when we're done talking about it. And then we'll put like subpoints underneath that so we know what about that story we're going to be talking about. So I found like the more we've planned, the better the podcast has gotten.
Yeah.
Not that you have to plan to the extent that we do. So far, the guests that have been in our podcast, when we've been doing these big notes, have been very overwhelmed.
They're like, oh my God, this note is forever long. It's like, well, Holden's basically taken like every single major point from every article and made a checkbox out of it.
Yep, pretty much, yeah. So yeah, I think we hold on to those two. So we have a record of them. So yeah, planning ahead's super important. I also just love the planning ahead portion of it. I love digging through all that stuff.
Nerd.
I'm a huge nerd. So yeah, so that's planning ahead. Very, very important. I actually think that our podcast consistently got better the more that we plan ahead. And planning ahead also just means like discussing with each other too. Like, what do you want to talk about this week? Did you want to talk about this or that? Or just thinking of things ahead of time. Because a lot of the times too, we would come up with a subject, like our main quest, we'd come up with it literally minutes before we would record.
Yeah.
And those were always the worst. We still get pretty close. We'll usually do like a day or two before. We'll be like, hey, is this going to be the main quest? But it's gotten better too.
Yep.
What was work retail?
Work retail was, in layman's terms and offensive terms, be a fucking interesting person. Vocally.
Yes, that's why. So, like,
interesting person.
Chad and I have both been in customer service a long time. I've been in customer service since I was 18, so 7 years at that point. So you kind of just get good at talking to people, and you just get good at talking to people when you're forcing it essentially for 7 years like that. So you just kind of learn how to fill in gaps and all those other kind of things.
Yeah, try to fill silences. Something that for some people is like a skill that they have to work on is varying your inflection, which sounds like, oh, that's something simple and easy to do. But there have been so many podcasts. Like I listened to a podcast called Barbell Shrugged about like fitness and all that kind of stuff. And there will be really amazingly knowledgeable doctors and shit like that talking about all of these great mechanics but they talk like this, and then the hip flexor, the adductor muscle, and it's like I can't fucking listen to this for an hour straight.
I think a lot of it too is also just not even like be interesting. It's also just be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Yeah, and you don't have to be silly and stupid and crazy like me.
That is how Chad is in real life. This is like not an act. Yeah, this is how he is with customers, minus the offensive language.
Yes. Me kicking through a wall listening to Disney's Powerline. That's me in real life.
How do you think he opens the door at work? He just breaks the glass of the doors at work every time to get in.
We replace a lot of doors for other reasons, but we replace a lot of doors.
That's true. That's very true, yeah.
But another
How
thing
many
that
last
I
year?
tend
Like
to go
4
by,
or 5?
Oh, no. We've reinforced the doors now, so we actually don't break them as often.
Oh, good for them. They figured that one out.
But another kind of thing, like if that is you, like your true self, but then you just like, I don't know how to make that come out on a podcast or how to make that in public or with somebody else. My motto that I always tell myself is, if you feel stupid or silly, you're doing it right. That makes you engaging and entertaining and interesting, and people are going to want to listen to what you have to say. So if your true self is a little bit wacky, but you're embarrassed or scared to show it off, fucking do it anyway. If you feel stupid or silly, it's probably really engaging to listen to.
And also just keep moving on if you do. Like, if you feel stupid and silly to, like, a bad degree, just keep moving on. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. So if you, like, make a really distasteful rape joke, just keep moving.
No, but it didn't happen. No, in all seriousness, though, because we have made some really not great jokes on here. It's
there's a reason we're the most kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast.
Yeah, I think I have a little... I actually came with this today, actually. Regrets are behind you. They shouldn't get in the way of what's in front of you.
Ooh, because you farted out the regrets.
Exactly.
And you don't want to smell that shit.
Exactly, so you got to run away.
I made that up right now. God, we work so well together.
Did you say consistency already?
No, I didn't, but that's very important.
It is very important. So talk about how we were the occasionally weekly podcast.
Such a brilliant little line. Yeah,
it is a good line.
We were like, we usually have Sunday nights off. Oh, but man, also Game of Thrones is on that night. And then we were just like, hey, can you do a podcast on like Friday or Thursday? And there would sometimes be where we would get it weekly. Sometimes we'd get it like every 2 weeks or something like that. But I feel like what's worked well for engaging with our community, what's worked well for making sure that we're producing quality content is just no matter what, we've made a commitment, especially being so far away now, we've had to make more of a promise to that commitment, is just making sure this is important to me. We're carving out time for it. Let's make it happen every week. If it can't happen that specific day, let's rearrange some stuff in our lives to make it happen on a different day. But I think that's really important to build that consistency, especially because if you give your audience something to look forward to on specific days, like I know that, for instance, Kind of Funny Gamescast. I know every Monday I'm like, cool, I'm going to load up my podcast. Well, now I get it early because I'm a gold member. But anyway, I know, cool, Monday, I can't wait to open up my podcast app and listen to what they had to say last week. I think that's a really important thing for us to do. Speaking of, we're going to record a little bit in advance starting next week. So we're recording Sunday night so we can release at a normal Tuesday time instead of like 11 p.m. at night.
It's still Tuesday.
Still Tuesday.
Still Tuesday.
Yeah. So yeah, consistency is pretty key.
It is. Save it for the podcast. Thanks to Kind of Funny Games for giving us that one. Because that's definitely came from them. I think it was from them, yeah. And this is actually something you said all the time, Chad, so I want to give you this one.
Yeah, this one's important to make sure when you're on the podcast, you're not just like, you don't want to spoil the surprise or the discussion itself. Like if Holden says something really interesting about Red Dead Redemption 2, if I've already heard that story or that anecdote before, then I'm like, cool, I'm hearing this before. I can fake interest in it again because we all know it's Red Dead Redemption 2 and I don't give a shit about it. But if it's the first time I'm hearing about it, like that makes for more engaging content. Mm-hmm. So if you're kind of on the phone and like, oh my God, Holden, I just played Beat Saber again for blah, blah, blah. And I played this new song, blah, blah, and they're like, cool. And then we're going to have that same exact conversation and try to make it interesting again later. It's too tough.
I think a good example, I think the best example of this is that you don't like Breath of the Wild. And that made for a really good conversation. It's like, whoa, what? You don't like Breath of the Wild? And had I known it beforehand, it's like I would have been almost like prepping for like a response. See what I mean? Like, no, so this is why you don't understand. And like it would have, I think it would have changed the conversation completely. Yeah. But I think because it came about naturally, the emotion was more natural. It was just better overall because of
Go back and listen to that episode, by the way.
I cried.
Controversial opinion.
I cried.
Holden cried. He cried because I literally beat the shit out of you. You were still in Chicago at that point, right?
Yeah,
so I could have physically beat you.
You could have, yeah. You physically beat me through Switch because like, I don't need this stupid Zelda machine anymore. You just beat me
Chad thinks Zelda is boring is the name of that episode.
It is, yeah. I've actually gone back to listen to that one before. I don't go back very often to listen to podcasts just because I don't like hearing myself talk. But I did go back to listen to that one because I'm like, what was it about the game Chad didn't like again? And I had to like go back and listen to it.
I remember just being so proud of me saying all of these things why Zelda is boring, and then you're like, I can't say any of those are wrong.
Yeah, no, you made good points about the game. Yeah. But you are wrong.
No. You're dead to me. The last one, I think, is... Well, the last one that I have. I don't know if you have any more written down.
Research name?
But yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one.
The name of your podcast is very important. Not... I wouldn't say, like, keep it from letting you start the podcast...
It didn't stop us.
It didn't stop us.
We'll get to that.
We started as Split Screen Gaming Podcast just because one day I had the idea, oh my God, Holden, if we did a video one and then like you could be in a video and it would show your face and I could be in a video and show my face and we'd literally be like split screen and we could be a Split Screen Gaming Podcast. And we're like, oh my God, cool, yeah. Fucking started it. Had no idea Kotaku had a podcast called Split Screen.
Not even just Kotaku. Just look up Split Screen in any gaming, in any podcast app. There's tons of them. There's so many of them. It's not split screen for Kotaku. It's Kotaku's split screen because there's so many split screens even they had to distinguish. And we had the cleverest one, which was
Split Screen Gaming Podcast.
Exactly. How else would you have known it was a gaming podcast? It took Respawning Fire took us, I'd say, a solid year to figure out.
Yeah. And well, actually, we legit changed our name on the 1 year anniversary of our podcast.
Yeah, that's right. It was the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. The number of names that we went through.
I still have a list of all the things I thought of. It was like 40 or 50 things.
Yeah,
we would suggest something to the other person, be like, no, I fucking hate that. Game Potato?
Yeah, that was mine.
You want to call our podcast Game Potato?
Mine. I still like Game Potato, but I get it. I still like Game Potato.
But make sure it's unique. Mm-hmm. It's important to, like... Split Screen Gaming Podcast is unique, but also there are 40 Split Screen podcasts. So if you say, hey, what's your podcast? Split Screen? Cool. And somebody goes to search it and there's like 50 of them. It's not going to be helpful for you.
And I actually do want to thank Chad because I think Chad's the one who actually really pushed for the name harder than I did. It just in the sense of, I think at a certain point I would have just said this name is good enough. And Chad's like, no, we are not going to settle until we have the best name.
Yeah.
And
because there were a couple times where we were like, to literally stop fighting about the name, it's just fucking fine. This will work. We're like, no, because we're gonna stick with this.
Yeah, I think the best one that we came up with otherwise was Super Bitty.
Super Bitty. which will make an appearance very soon as well.
Yes. So teaser, super bitty.
But also make sure that it's available everywhere. There are so many times where we're like, man, this is such a great idea for podcasts. Look at the podcast and it doesn't exist anywhere, but there's a YouTube channel about it, and somebody already has the Twitter handle, and somebody has the Instagram handle, and fuck. So try to find something and research it, make sure you have it all, and then don't let anyone know it, and then change it all at the same time.
Yeah, we were super, super nervous that we were going to announce the name, and then some troll online would be like, well, I'm taking the name now, because you guys announced that was your name already, but it's not there yet. We were legitimately very nervous that was going to happen. So and
also pick something you like, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to change your name.
Yeah.
We had to make a new email address. We had to change our iTunes account. We had to change our SoundCloud account. We had to change our
some of the
Twitter handle.
Album covers are still the old Split Screen Gaming Podcast covers, which the new one's so much better.
Yep.
So much better.
And then the new one that's coming a little bit later is going to be even so much better.
I've seen it. Or the early...
You've seen a concept. Early-ish idea.
But I've seen the concept, and they're very good. So...
hold on. I think that's all that we had on our list, right?
Yeah. There were 10 items.
That's kind of... Yeah.
I'm just going to run through them again really quickly. Plan ahead. Save it for the podcast. Research your name. Consistency. Getting audience participation. Work retail. Find someone's different / interesting / engaging for you. Always assessing, kind of always thinking about how you can improve the podcast. Invest in something, a microphone, whatever it is, and then also just do it. Just do it. Just fucking do it.
Do it. Just do it. Do it.
Well, Chad.
If you guys have any other questions, hopefully that answered a lot of stuff for some of you guys. If you have any other questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or our email. I kind of abandoned Facebook as a New Year's resolution this year, so our Facebook group probably will fall away to nothingness because Holden also doesn't use Facebook. But
yeah,
you could also reach out to that maybe.
Yeah, I'm an old man. I don't even really text that much.
Yeah. People are trying to get us to start a Discord. We got to do that. We got to give the people what they want.
We got to do Discord. We got to do Patreon. We got to do all those different kind of things.
Anyway, if you have more questions, let us know. We would love to answer them. Submit them on Twitter as what we call subscriber interrogatives.
Ba-boom.
Which are just a fancy word for like listener or reader questions.
Ba-ba-booey.
That's going to bring us to our Endgame, where we connect with the community. This would have normally been there, but we decided it was big enough for its own topic.
Oh, also fun. One more thing. What? Fun segment names.
Fun segment names, yeah.
We have fun
Sometimes
making
this
those.
Is like, yeah, that's great.
Anyway, keep going, sorry.
Speaking of, barf.
Yes.
Backlog accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. This month, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, played along with us. We will be having that discussion. We'll be recording that episode on the 27th.
Very curious, we're already in the game so far. This far.
Haven't started.
Okay. It doesn't take long at all. You're fine.
I have a week off starting tomorrow, so you're gonna beat it. Yeah.
I think you'll be very surprised at how fast you get through it.
Cool. Yeah. Your mom. So play that along with us. Let us know your experience with it. I know a lot of the newer listeners have mentioned, man, I'm kind of interested in that discussion. Let us know if you've played it, what you thought of it, whether it's a 2-word sentence or like a whole paragraph that I can pull things from, and then we'll kind of bring that into our discussion. And we talk about participation award. So this is how one of you guys wins $20 to the gaming service of your choice. Interact with us on Twitter. Anything more than a like, retweets count, commenting counts, photos count. You get 1 entry per week for that. You get an entry for reviewing us on the podcast service of your choice. Let us know what it is, because those are different. And also, I don't look at the Google Play Store reviews, so send us a screenshot of that. Or you could refer a friend to us, have them tweet at us and say, hey, so-and-so referred me. Boom, you both get an entry.
Boom.
Then, that brings us to one of our newest segments that I love, #Thanks for Creating. This is where we reach out to, all on our own, an individual in the gaming industry that we enjoy their work, and we say thank you. Thank you for making that. We've done one so far for games creators who developed a game in 2018, for actors, for musicians. This time, we're going to use #Thanks for Creating to thank a gaming personality whose content you enjoy. It cannot be us. It has to be someone other than us, because obviously you enjoy us. We're amazing. So yes, thank a gaming personality whose content you enjoy. That could be your favorite streamer. That could be your favorite journalist. That could be a person who does a bunch of cool videos on YouTube for you. But just reach out and say thanks. Tag it #Thanks for Creating so that we can kind of see that. And all the love. Because I love seeing when Tunic does it every single week. That guy's entering the participation award. He's playing the numbers game. Will Cloud did it. I've done it. You do it. A couple other people have done it. Just randos, as well as people who listen to our podcast. Fucking love it. And then finally, Game On Game Show. The game show on our game show where we game on the game show called Game On our game show for gaming. This, more often than not, is Video Game Would You Rather. And it is no exception this week. And we have some that are the most tame we've ever had.
Okay.
We have some that are maybe some of the most irreverent we've ever had.
Okay.
And we have one that is fucking out of left field.
Okay.
That's coming at the very end. Are you ready for this, Holden?
I mean, it's going to be out of left field. I know it's going to be the last one, though.
It is going to be the last one, yes.
Okay.
That's specifically going to be the last one because it's long.
Okay.
Number one, we're going to start tame. Would you rather be in a turn-based fight with your middle school bully? Like a real-life turn-based he punch,
I was the bully, Chad.
Okay, let's be honest. Everyone who's listening to this podcast was a nerd, including us. We got bullied.
Oh, yeah, I was bullied. Absolutely, yeah.
Or would you rather have a turn-based Thanksgiving dinner with all of your extended family, where everyone has to eat one bite at a time? Someone takes a bite, and then someone else can take a bite, and then you can take a bite, and you have to go all the way around the table.
I'll take the bully because I have... Well, put it this way. My grandmother had 4 children.
Okay.
Which means there are 4 aunts and uncles, my mom included in there.
Right.
And then many of them had, like, 2 kids. And then there's extended family that likes to come in as well. So we usually have, like, 20 or 30 people at our... Maybe 20 people at our Thanksgivings. That's a lot. That's just one side of my family. The other side of my family is also 4, but then they had 3 or 4 kids per family. So that family is just, it'd take even longer to get through. Whereas the bully, I remember him being kind of stupid. So I think that'd be really easy. So it's like,
I was thinking the same exact thing.
It's like lots of family members, love them, all great people. But like the bully would be easier to get through, no problem.
Yeah,
especially since if he's my middle school bully, I'm 25 and he's probably still 13. So.
And you're shut up, shut up. That's not how time works. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. My middle school bully, I've been doing CrossFit. He was kind of dopey. Peyton Guyan, you're out there. I could fucking take you right now, even if it was turn-based.
Just calling him out.
What if he's him out? He might be one of our listeners.
What if he's a listener and he didn't even know that you were the Chad that is on the podcast? Oh my god!
Well,
and now we lost a fan.
Michael.
I mean,
back then I went by Michael.
That's true, but now
like, oh my god, this is the same guy.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
But the whole time he's listening, he's like connecting with you emotionally. You've like gotten him through hard times in his life. You're like, oh my god, it's the person that I bullied. And like, this is like a Christian movie in the making.
Yes.
You both
Mel
find
Gibson.
Jesus together in the end because they're a gaming podcast.
And then I beat the shit out of him.
You beat the shit out of him with the power of Christ.
Turn-based side with the power of Christ. Oh, there's the quote. You beat the shit out of him with the power of Christ. No, that's too offensive.
It's really offensive.
We'll consider it.
No, I mean, I don't know. An exorcism they say, but the power of Christ compel you is any different.
Oh, man.
The modern, the no fear Shakespeare version of it is, may the power of Christ beat the shit out of you.
Oh, man.
All right.
So we both agree, middle school bully. Great.
Yep.
Number 2. This one's a little irreverent.
All right.
Would you rather play a post-Hurricane Katrina version of Animal Crossing?
I mentioned that. That was one of my predictions.
Really?
Yeah. I said...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I said the reason that they delayed that was because of the earthquake, but actually it was probably because of the Ex Machina game that involved, buildings crashing and stuff, not Animal Crossing. That was one of the stupidest things I said in the podcast, by the way.
So, an Animal Crossing where you have to build up your town after Hurricane Katrina comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Or... play a post-California wildfire version of Flower, where you're desperately trying to find flowers in this burned-up California.
That honestly sounds like a really good survival horror game. It's just being this precious flower, just trying to make it past just huge, flames and just as far as the eye can see. And then, like, you have a little firefighter, comes to help you, but then the flames take him down. And you're like, well, I can't make it if he couldn't make it. And then you get scared. And it's a terrifying game. You should play that game. You should make that game. Yeah, so that one. I'll do that one.
Also, yeah, Animal Crossing is boring as shit, so definitely Flower.
Animal Crossing
which has a lot less going on and could be potentially more boring, although I loved Flower. It was so relaxing.
I never beat Flower, but I enjoyed the 5 minutes I played of it. So
I played a good, 20 minutes on PS3, a good, 2 hours on Vita, and then another hour on PS4.
That's a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably honestly not much longer than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those were all the same. Like I started from the beginning.
No, sure, but you've just put in enough time that like it could have beaten the game, but he just played the same parts over and over again. Yeah. So it's a good enough time.
Yeah. Number 3. Would you rather be a Resident Evil zombie and live out the rest of your days in that dope mansion, or be a Walking Dead zombie and live out the rest of your days out in the wilderness?
The wilderness.
Go on.
I would die of starvation in the mansion eventually. More likely, I'd find food if I was in the wilderness.
Ah, that's a good thing. See, I was thinking of the fact that, like, yeah, there's lots to explore. There's all sorts of, like, fun jewels around. There's a big shark.
Nostalgia, just for being in the Resident Evil mansion.
You got pets like dogs, and there's little jumpy monkeys.
You get some friends who come in the house eventually.
Yeah.
They just might not be good friends.
And the house doesn't blow up at the end because you and I never finished it. So the house is always going to be there. Versus Walking Dead zombie in the wilderness. Yeah, you've got definitely a lot more to eat out there probably.
Mm-hmm. You're going to live.
I feel like you also just like... I don't know.
But here's the thing. You're in the wilderness. What if you just like stumbled into another mansion at some point? And you're in a mansion.
You're fucking right.
So
all right, you won me over.
Yep, that's it. It's the best of both worlds.
Number 4. Here we go. Would you rather play a Telltale version of Bill Cosby's life or a Quantic Dream version of Louis C.K.?
And what was the last one? A Quantic Dream version of Louis C.K.?
A Quantic Dream version of Louis C.K.
I was just talking about Louis
C.K.
Both of them, week,
you're making choices, but it doesn't matter what choice you make. You're going to end up making some really fucked up decisions.
I'll say this. I think the character arc of Bill Cosby would be more interesting in the sense of family man to literally one of the most vile things you could ever do to a person. Whereas Louis C.K. is like, he was always kind of scummy. There wasn't really...
But see, the family man part of Bill Cosby, those are when you're making those skeevy, disgusting choices.
You were just like asking for trouble when you asked this. Like, what's like what's the thing that could get us in the most trouble if we talk about?
Yep. Because what you think of the positive, I mean, it's not like you see, like, Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad. You don't see Mr. Chips turn into Scarface. Mr. Chips was secretly Scarface the whole time.
That's a good point. So actually, let's flip it. What if it was like you're someone in the life of Bill Cosby, in the life of Louis C.K., finding out about these things? Then it'd be much more interesting to be Bill Cosby.
So you're like one of the victims.
Not one of the victims. You're just like an assistant who's like working for him. And it's like, is there something weird happening? I don't know if something's weird happening. And then like it's like, oh my god, like
you see a bottle with a prescription for
like things start to like it's like, but it's Bill Cosby. Like how could he?
See
and then
Louis C.K. masturbating in a corner, and you can't see past him, so you assume there can't be another person that's like pinned down in the corner while he's jerking off. That's not possible. And then it turns out, oh my god, it was true the whole time.
I just laughed at one of the most vile things that a human being can laugh at.
Do you mind if can I jerk off in front of you? Is that cool?
Remember that advice that we gave earlier where it's just like, don't regret and just keep moving on.
Just keep moving on.
It's for moments like this where it's like, wow, we had a really offensive conversation about that.
We have an explicit rating on the podcasts. Okay?
We do.
We can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech.
We do have freedom of speech. That is true. Doesn't mean there won't be consequences for that speech.
So here's the thing. I would choose the Quantic Dream version of Louis C.K.'s life.
Okay.
Because, one, you don't end up in prison at the end because you're a white guy, and that's how America works.
Is he getting into prison? Have they officially confirmed that yet?
Bill Cosby?
Yeah. I don't follow the story that closely, honestly.
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah,
okay.
He's going to prison.
He should. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's very fair.
Well, I don't know. I don't know enough about Louis C.K., but he's a white man in America, so he didn't go to prison. So that's the one I'm going to choose.
I'm just saying, based on what Bill Cosby did, he should go to prison.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And he is.
Yeah.
What do you choose, Holden? Which one of those two games would you like to play?
I'm actually not going to choose it based on Bill Cosby or on Louis C.K., despite what I was saying earlier. I'm going to choose it on I'd rather play a Quantic Dream game than a Telltale game.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it's much
really
more...
play Detroit.
I should. I do want to play Detroit. I do.
Our last one. Strap in. This one's a long one.
Strap in, because the last one wasn't intense enough.
Well, it's long. There's a lot of backstory to this one.
Okay.
You're on death row for a crime that you didn't commit.
Wow.
You were framed for the brutal slaughter of 3 members of your local church.
This was supposed to be fictional, you said.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
I mean, if you can really imagine yourself in this situation, you might have to see a therapist. Let me start over. You're on death row for a crime that you didn't commit. You were framed for the brutal slaughter of 3 members of your local church, and the only person who could have corroborated your alibi is your ex-wife, but she refuses to because you cheated on her with her best friend on your anniversary of all nights.
Wow.
DNA evidence clearly shows you were at the church, but it was from the previous morning where you helped deliver green beans and a Nintendo Switch for the canned food drive. And your cell records...
This is so elaborate.
Hold on. Your cell records indicate you were in the vicinity during the time of the murder, but your ex-wife won't admit that she shamefully hooked up with you again at a hotel, and she saw one of the housekeepers steal your phone 3 hours earlier. She won't admit this to the court. You're going to die tomorrow by a lethal injection. Would you rather have your last meal be chicken or lasagna?
I'm like listening, going, okay, that detail and that detail, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Lasagna.
Personally, lasagna all the fucking way.
We agree.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely, because you can have chicken in the lasagna.
Yeah. And I had to throw the Nintendo Switch in there just to make it video game related.
That was so unrelated to video games.
I wrote the whole thing and was like, fuck, there's nothing about video games in there.
Lasagna.
So let us know on Twitter if you would have chosen chicken or lasagna. Maybe we'll put up a poll about it and just nonchalantly ask chicken or lasagna, and we'll have those 2 options, and we'll see what people say. Maybe some people answer not knowing what it's about. Maybe some people will have read or listened to the entire thing. That's the end of our video game Would You Rather, which is the end of our Endgame, which brings us to the end of our episode. Again, reach out to someone in the gaming community who creates content you enjoy. Let them know you appreciate it and say #thanks for creating. Next week, we will start the Year of the Guest. We have 2 guests per week booked out for months right now, and a ton of other people who would like to join us as well. So I hope you like guests. We're going to give that like 8-ish weeks trial run, see how it goes. We may reconsider, reevaluate, maybe change some things up, but we're really, really fucking excited. A lot of these people that we're bringing on are really, really cool. Some of them are pieces of shit. Just kidding. They're all really great. No, they're all really great. Everyone who I've spoken to so far is super excited to be on, and they seem to be really interesting people. I've even listened to a lot of their podcasts so far, and they have really great content that hopefully will be featured on here in the coming weeks as well. So look out on Twitter. God damn it. Twitter for that. Until next week, here's our usual sign-off. I gotta pee so fucking bad.
Oh my god, I have to pee so bad too. We'll end this, and then we'll pee, and then we'll reconvene. Bye, everyone.
Great. Bye.